So, our first guest of our collaboration night, would you please welcome our very own Flint historian, Mr. Gary Flinn.
Yay, Gary!
You can pass this around. Thank you. Okay, I have a lot to say before and after this month's presentation. If I seem a bit disheveled, explanation. Of course, now that it's fall and the temperature's dropping, I'm back to wearing the capotes out of the closet.
Yeah.
But explanation first. I'm maybe a little off because, well, Monday they found a kidney stone.
Oh no.
Anyway, I seem to be getting okay now, so I'm able to read my presentation tonight. So I went to my usual doctor, which is McLaren Internal Medicine office, and they sent me to the McLaren ER, and that's where they gave me the thorough testing, and that's when they said I had a kidney stone.
Huh.
So they prescribed me some meds, which I'm still taking, and my appetite's back, and this inspired me to do this month's presentation about a Flint businessman whose will bequeathed the founding of Flint's very first hospital, which is now called Hurley Medical Center. It's from my Hidden History of Flint book, which is available at bookstores and online with the cover price of $21.99.
Only $21.99.
Yes, and the bookstores should also have my first book, Remembering Flint, Michigan, which still has a cover price of $19.99.
Only $19.99.
Yes. And now with the chapter called James Hurley, Businessman and Humanitarian. The more than century-old Hurley Medical Center is a major hospital centrally located in Flint. The man behind the name was an English immigrant who settled in Flint and became a successful businessman. James J. Hurley was born in London, England on August 31st, 1849. He began earning money for himself at age 6 by returning fruit baskets to dealers, for which he received a penny apiece. By age 13, he accumulated $400, which he used to start his own business selling fruit and merchandise. But at age 20, business setbacks made him broke. So in 1871, he decided to immigrate to the United States and arrived in New York. He went straight to Michigan, arriving in Grand Blanc. He traveled to Flint by foot. By that winter, he had found work at a livery, earning $10 per month. In 1872, he partnered with William H. Fay to operate the Sherman House Hotel on West Kearsley Street. Hurley met dining room girl Mary Flinn there, no relation, whom he married. Sherman House was destroyed by fire in 1879. Hurley then purchased the Flint Soap Works, which was located on what is now Grand Traverse near the Flint River. In 1885, Hurley opened a wood and coal yard. The People's Electric Light and Power Company was also founded that year, with Hurley as president. That company was later reorganized into the Flint Light and Power Company, with Hurley serving as vice president. Hurley was also director at Union Savings Bank. On January 12, 1900, Mary died at her home after an unspecified acute illness that began when she complained about a headache and lasted 10 days. She was just 43. The Wolverine Citizen reported her death in the following day's issue. In the fall of 1904, Hurley became ill with Bright's disease, a kidney disease known as nephritis today. He was initially determined to continue his work, but he required continual care from 2 nurses that December. Hurley died at 5:15 a.m. on April 4, 1905, of heart failure at age 55. The April fourth issue of the Flint Daily Journal reported Hurley's death on the front page and mentioned that even though Hurley's will was not yet filed for probate, his will bequeathed $500 to every church in the city, regardless of faith, and 10 to 12 acres of land on a high elevation west of downtown, and $25,000 for the construction of a general hospital in the city. At this point in the video, a portrait of James Hurley can be seen. 2 days later, Hurley's funeral was held at St. Michael's Catholic Church. Officiated by the Reverend Timothy J. Murphy, the ceremony was heavily attended, and there were many floral tributes. Quoting the Flint Daily Journal's article about the funeral, Father Murphy preached a fine discourse in which he paid high tribute to generosity and other elements that were conspicuous in the sturdy character of the deceased. Hurley was buried at what is now Old Calvary Cemetery on Ballinger Highway at the edge of a ravine next to his wife. The Hurleys had no children. Besides the Flynn in-laws, the only blood relative surviving James Hurley was a niece in London, England. Besides bequests to family members, associates, and employees, Hurley also gave $500 towards the construction of a new Elks Lodge and donated his home at the end of Stockton Street, north of West 3rd Street, which he dubbed Mary's House, to the Little Sisters of the Poor of Detroit. That organization was unable to utilize the house, so it was sold to Edward D. Black and continued to serve as a private residence for several decades until it was converted into a 3-unit apartment in the 1950s and later torn down. Hurley's legacy with its generous bequests benefiting the city was unusual in 1905, when most people had more provincial thoughts and did not have the foresight to help and benefit future generations, which Hurley clearly had. He had genuine compassion for the people that he displayed in his giving. He wanted to give something to the city that would benefit all people. This was a gift of gratitude to the city and the people of the area who had dealt with him so generously. Hurley Hospital officially opened on December 18, 1908, as the first modern hospital in the city with 40 beds, 6 bassinets, and a staff of 8 nurses. The hospital grew with the city to become what is now Hurley Medical Center, which still follows James Hurley's original vision to provide care to all citizens regardless of ability to pay. In fiscal year 2014, Hurley provided $8 million in uncompensated and charity care. At this point in the video, you would see a photo of how Hurley Hospital originally looked. After more than 100 years, the final resting place of Mary and James Hurley at Old Calvary Cemetery, the oldest surviving cemetery in the immediate Flint area, showed obvious signs of erosion over the decades. Mary's grave lost more soil to the adjacent ravine, and both individual markers had shifted due to the eroding soil. The large stone bearing J.J. Hurley's name had small broken stones used as shims below its base. The Hurley grave sloped downward to such a degree that visitors needed to be careful, despite a chain link fence at the edge of the ravine. The management of New-Old Calvary Cemetery and the Roman Catholic Diocese of Lansing's Office of Cemeteries had been aware of the sinking of the Hurley graves for more than a decade back in 2008. After 4 additional years of planning, a retaining wall was built along the ravine in 2012. The Hurley plots were leveled and re-landscaped, and new concrete paths were poured for the Hurley markers. The restoration of the Hurley graves was a complicated process that required getting materials and heavy equipment into the ravine while being respectful of the deceased. The only easy access is at the end of Nolan Drive at the Mount Park Golf Course. The retaining wall was built using precast concrete sections. The end result was a beautiful restoration of the plots of James and Mary Hurley at Old Calvary Cemetery. So that's my piece for this month. And before I go, I'll be taking part in the Flint Literary Festival at the Flint Public Library this month on the last Saturday in October, along with other local Flint authors. I'll be offering both my books at the Flint Public Library. I hope to see you all there. And thank you very much.
You know what? I have not had this.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, please give it up for Mr. Gary Flynn.